America's largest retailer, Walmart, may look like the safest and most ordinary place. Bright lights, endless aisles, and families shopping for their daily needs. But behind the sliding glass doors and smiling greeters, something darker lurks. For years, strange incidents, terrifying encounters, and even supernatural phenomena have been reported in Walmart stores across the United States. Tonight, we're diving into the unsettling side of Walmart. Stories that were whispered about by employees, shoppers, and investigators. These are not just tales of petty theft or late-night oddities. These are encounters that shake the very idea of reality, leaving people to wonder, what is really happening in these massive stores? And why do these events keep happening here of all places? Let's begin with one of the most unsettling stories ever uncovered. Story 1. The man who lived in Walmart for 3 days. It began in Louisiana, where employees noticed something strange. For 3 whole days, a man managed to live inside a Walmart without anyone realizing it. He found a way to slip into the storage areas after hours, blending in during the day as just another shopper. At night, he'd disappear into hidden corners, using camping supplies and even sneaking snacks from the shelves. Tea first. No one thought much of it. Walmart stores are huge, big enough that a person could vanish for hours without being noticed. But after the second night, employees grew suspicious. Footsteps were heard after closing hours, and merchandise seemed to move on its own. Security footage confirmed the unthinkable. The man was living there. When security finally confronted him, the story became even more disturbing. He wasn't just hiding. He claimed he was being followed by something outside, something that forced him to take shelter in the store. "They can't reach me here," he whispered, "not under these lights." Nobody ever figured out who or what he was talking about. The man vanished after authorities escorted him out, never to be seen again. But as strange as that was, the next story shows that danger doesn't always come from shadows. Sometimes it follows you in plain sight. Story 2. The stalking incident in Phoenix. In Phoenix, a young woman reported being followed inside Walmart by a man she had never seen before. At first, it seemed harmless, just someone shopping in the same aisle. But soon, she realized wherever she went, he was already there. The hair on her neck stood up as she moved from aisle to aisle, only to find his eyes waiting. She told employees, but by the time security arrived, the man was gone. The footage, however, told a far stranger story. Cameras showed her moving alone through the aisles. No man appeared in the videos. No figure followed her. Yet multiple employees remembered seeing her rush to the front desk in tears, describing him in vivid detail to this day. She insists she wasn't hallucinating. She described the man as tall, wearing a faded hoodie, his face partially hidden but with piercing eyes that never blinked. Was it a stalker who somehow avoided every camera? Or was she seeing something else entirely, something that didn't appear on film? And if being followed by someone invisible wasn't terrifying enough, one Walmart in Salem became the center of an even stranger phenomenon, one that broke the very laws of physics. Story 3. The mirror anomalies in Salem. In Salem, shoppers began to notice that the mirrors in the store's home goods section didn't behave normally. At first, it was subtle, reflections that seemed just a little off, like delayed movements or faint distortions. But then things escalated. One customer swore her reflection smiled back at her, even though her face had remained frozen in fear. Employees laughed it off until it started happening to them. A worker stacking shelves looked up and saw himself reflected, but the reflection turned its head before he did. He dropped everything and refused to work in that section again. When the store replaced the mirrors, hoping to put an end to the complaints, the problem didn't stop. The new mirrors behaved the same way. Some theorized the store was built over something it shouldn't have been. Others whisper that the mirrors weren't mirrors at all, but windows into somewhere else. Whatever the truth, shoppers still avoid that aisle, and employees move quickly past it, never looking too closely at their own reflections. Story 4. The Roswell security footage. Roswell, New Mexico, is already famous for its history with UFO sightings. But one Walmart there added a new layer to the town's bizarre reputation. Security guards were baffled when reviewing overnight footage. It showed a man entering the store at 1:14 a.m., walking calmly through the aisles. Then, just seconds later, the very same man appeared on another camera at the opposite end of the store. Something physically impossible to see first. The guards assumed it was a glitch. But as they reviewed more footage, the phenomenon repeated itself. 2. Sometimes 3 versions of the same shopper appeared simultaneously in different parts of the store. Even stranger, when employees tried to confront him in person, he would vanish the moment they turned a corner. Some locals believe it was a technical malfunction. Others whisper that it was connected to Roswell's legacy of otherworldly visitors. One theory suggests dimensional overlap, where this man existed in multiple places at once. Whatever the truth, the Walmart management never explained it, and the footage quietly disappeared from public record. But glitches in space and time weren't the only thing to haunt Walmart aisles. In another store, the horror came in the form of people you thought you could trust. Story 5, the employee training heist. It happened late one evening at a Midwest Walmart. A group of new employees showed up for what appeared to be a scheduled after-hours training session. They wore matching uniforms, carried clipboards, and seemed professional. The store's night manager, overwhelmed and distracted, allowed them access to restricted areas. Hours later, the truth became clear. There was no training. The entire team was a group of thieves who coordinated one of the largest heists in Walmart history. They walked out with electronics, cash from registers, and even jewelry from locked cases. Security cameras captured everything, but by the time police arrived, the imposters had vanished without a trace. What disturbed investigators most was the precision. These weren't ordinary criminals. They knew the layout, the schedules, even the codes for certain doors. Some wondered if they had inside help, or if one of them had once worked for Walmart itself. To this day, most of the stolen items were never recovered. But while heists and impersonators can be explained by human greed, the next story crosses in a territory far harder to rationalize. Story 6, the Phantom Cart Pusher. In Ohio, employees began reporting a strange figure in the parking lot. On security cameras, a shadowy person could be seen pushing carts back toward the store lawn after closing hours. But when workers went outside to check, no one was there. The carts kept moving anyway. One night, a manager stayed late and saw it for himself. A full row of carts rolled smoothly toward the entrance, as if being guided by invisible hands. On the monitor, however, the shadowy figure was still there, walking calmly behind them. When police were called, the footage was reviewed frame by frame. Sometimes the figure appeared human. Sometimes it flickered into a blurry distortion. Older employees recalled stories of a man who had once worked nights collecting carts before tragically passing away on the job. Many believe his spirit never left, still completing his endless shift. The Phantom Cart Pusher has since become a local legend, with workers refusing to step outside alone after midnight. Story 7. The child who vanished in plain sight. One evening in Texas, a mother was shopping with her 6-year-old son. He was right beside her, tugging at her sleeve as she compared prices in the snack aisle. She looked away for just a second, and when she turned back, he was gone. Panicked, she shouted his name. Other customers helped her search. Employees locked the exits, and announcements echoed through the intercom. Within minutes, the store was on high alert. Security footage was pulled immediately. What they found made no sense at all. The boy could be seen walking alongside his mother, but at the moment she looked away, the camera feed glitched. For less than 2 seconds, the video warped, and when it returned, the boy was gone. There was no sign of him leaving the aisle, no sign of abduction, nothing. Police combed through the footage frame by frame, but the child had simply vanished. After hours of chaos, the boy reappeared near the toy section, confused, dazed, and claiming he had just been with his mom the entire time. He insisted he hadn't wandered off. To this day, no one can explain where he went during those lost minutes. But not every disappearance ends with relief. The next tale carries an eerie, unresolved dread. Story 8, the woman in the red dress. In Florida, Several employees began reporting encounters with a mysterious woman in a bright red dress. She always appeared near the fitting rooms around midnight, wandering silently between the racks of clothing. One worker swore he spoke to her. He asked if she needed help, and she turned to look at him. Only her eyes were completely black. Terrified, he ran to get another employee. When they returned, the woman was gone. Over the following weeks, multiple customers described seeing her reflection in mirrors, even when she wasn't in the room. A few snapped pictures on their phones, but in every photo, the woman's face appeared blurred, smeared like wet paint. Rumors spread that she was tied to the land before the Walmart was built, perhaps a restless spirit attached to the ground itself. Management denied everything, but eventually, fitting room staff refused to work the late-night shift alone. And if that wasn't unsettling enough, what came next blurred the line between haunting and reality. Story 9. The Endless Announcement. In a Nevada Walmart, strange announcements began echoing through the intercom after midnight. At first, they were faint, garbled static like a microphone picking up interference. But then, words began to form. "Help me," a voice whispered one night. "They won't let me out." Employees were horrified. The overnight manager rushed to the control room, but no one was at the console. The system wasn't even active. This continued for weeks. Sometimes it was a woman's voice, sometimes a man's. Each time, the message grew longer, pleading for release. Security techs inspected the wiring, replaced equipment, even shut down the system. Yet the voices continued. Locals began avoiding the store, calling it cursed. One worker quit after claiming the voice called her by name through the speakers when she was alone in an aisle. The announcements finally stopped after the store was renovated, but employees say that even today, if you stand in the electronics section late at night, you can sometimes hear a faint whisper leaking through the intercom hum. Story 10. The Doppelganger in Roswell. In Roswell, New Mexico, already infamous for strange happenings, Walmart employees encountered something truly unsettling. Security cameras one night showed a man entering through the front doors, heading to the grocery aisle. Nothing unusual, until 10 minutes later, the exact same man appeared on another camera, walking in again. Same clothes, same gait, even the same shopping cart. Confused, security rewound the footage. Both versions of the man existed at once. One browsing produce while the other stood at checkout. Neither acknowledged the other. To make matters stranger, when both left, they vanished from the cameras before reaching the parking lot. The employees tried to track the man down, but no one matched his description in the area. Locals now whisper that the Roswell Walmart isn't just a store. It's a gateway, a place where reality bends and duplicates spill into our world. But even strange doubles weren't the end. The final story reveals just how dark these encounters could become. Story 11. The Employee Training That Wasn't. In California, dozens of people once showed up to a Walmart before opening hours, all wearing uniforms. They claimed they had been called for a new employee training session. Managers, baffled, checked schedules. No such training existed. Yet the crowd insisted, waving identical emails with official-looking Walmart logos. Security footage revealed them arriving in groups, calm and orderly, as if rehearsed. But when questioned further, their stories began to break apart. Some claimed they had been recruited online. Others said a manager they couldn't name had given them instructions. Within an hour, most of the group simply left the store, melting back into the city. Later, investigators discovered that the emails were fakes, but no one could trace their source. Even stranger, many of the names on the sign-in sheets didn't match any real individuals. It was as though half the group never existed at all. This day, Walmart workers who were present that morning refused to speak about what truly happened inside. It was an elaborate prank, a coordinated heist that never materialized, or something far more sinister. The truth has, from vanishings to apparitions, from impossible doubles to chilling voices, the stories hidden within Walmart's walls prove that even the most ordinary places can harbor extraordinary darkness. Next time you walk down those fluorescent lit aisles, remember, you might not be as alone as you think. If you enjoyed this journey into the strange and unsettling, don't forget to subscribe leave a like, and share your own eerie experiences in the comments below. There are countless more tales waiting to be uncovered, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Never surfaced,